You know what's funny? Yesterday I was walking through downtown and I saw this new mixed-use development advertising itself as the most sustainable building in the city. Beautiful green facade, solar panels gleaming in the sun, a gorgeous vertical garden that looked like something out of an architectural magazine. I stopped, genuinely impressed. Then I noticed something else. Massive air conditioning units humming loudly on the roof, windows that clearly weren't designed to open, and construction materials being trucked in that looked anything but local or sustainable. That's when it hit me. We're living in the golden age of architectural greenwashing, and most people have no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes. Let me tell you about a project I discovered last year. A major developer in California built what they called an eco-luxury resort. The marketing was incredible. They had this beautiful website showing indigenous plants, solar panels, and sustainable materials. They even won a Green Building Award. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here's what they didn't tell you in their glossy brochures. To build this sustainable resort, they clear-cut 400 acres of old-growth forest. Let that sink in for a moment. They destroyed a centuries-old ecosystem to build a place that would help people connect with nature. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. But wait, it gets worse. The solar panels they installed, they only covered about 15% of the building's actual energy needs. The rest came from the local grid, which in that area runs primarily on coal. But here's the thing that really gets me. This isn't some isolated incident. This is happening everywhere, and it's becoming the norm rather than the exception. I started digging deeper into this world of fake sustainable architecture, and what I found genuinely shocked me. There's this phenomenon called green veneering, where developers literally just slap green elements onto conventional buildings. It's like putting a healthy salad on top of a cheeseburger and calling it health food. Take vertical gardens, for example. Don't get me wrong, when done right, they're incredible. But I've seen buildings where these green walls are purely decorative, requiring massive irrigation systems and consuming more water than the building saves through any other sustainable features. I visited one office building in New York where the vertical garden looked stunning from the street, but the facilities manager told me it was costing them more in maintenance and water than they saved from all their other green initiatives combined. The solar panel scam is even more pervasive. I can't tell you how many buildings I've seen with just enough solar panels to make for good photos, but nowhere near enough to make any meaningful impact. It's like putting a tiny Band-Aid on a massive wound and claiming you've solved the problem. But the most insidious part isn't the fake green features. It's what they're hiding. I investigated a LEED certified office building that was supposed to be a model of sustainable design. The building had all the right certifications, all the right marketing materials, but when I looked at the actual energy consumption data, it was using 40% more energy than a conventional office building of the same size. How is this possible? Well, it turns out that getting green certifications has become a game that developers have learned to play. They optimize for the metrics that get them the certification, but they ignore everything else. It's like studying only the questions that will be on the test, but not actually learning the subject. Here's a perfect example of this gaming mentality. There's a luxury residential complex in Miami that marketed itself as carbon neutral. They achieved this by purchasing carbon offsets, basically paying someone else to plant trees somewhere far away. Meanwhile, the building itself is one of the most energy-intensive residential buildings in the city. Each unit has floor-to-ceiling windows that face west, making cooling costs astronomical. but technically they're carbon neutral because they bought some credits. The psychological manipulation here is brilliant and terrifying at the same time. These developers know that most people want to make environmentally conscious choices, but they also know that most people don't have the time or expertise to dig into the technical details. So they create this veneer of sustainability that makes people feel good about their choices while fundamentally changing nothing about the environmental impact. I started keeping a mental list of red flags when I see sustainable architecture marketing. If you see terms like eco-friendly, green living, or sustainable design without any specific certifications or metrics, be suspicious. If the marketing focuses heavily on one or two green features while ignoring everything else about the building, that's a red flag. If a building claims to be sustainable but has massive glass facades, poor orientation, or no consideration for local climate, you're probably looking at greenwashing. The tragedy here isn't just the environmental impact, though that's serious enough. The real tragedy is that this fake sustainability is crowding out real innovation. Every dollar spent on green veneering is a dollar not spent on actually solving the environmental challenges of architecture. But here's what gives me hope. There are architects and developers out there doing incredible, genuinely sustainable work. They're designing buildings that work with local climates instead of against them. They're using materials that make sense for their region. They're creating spaces that actually reduce environmental impact rather than just claiming to. The difference is that these real sustainable projects don't always photograph as dramatically. They don't have the flashy green walls or the gleaming solar panels positioned perfectly for Instagram photos. Instead, they have things like optimal building orientation, superior insulation, natural ventilation systems, and locally sourced materials. The sustainability is built into the bones of the building, not applied like makeup on the surface. So, the next time you see a building marketing itself as sustainable, ask yourself, what are they not telling you? What's hiding behind those beautiful green facades? Because in the world of architecture, just like everywhere else, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. The future of architecture depends on us getting better at spotting these fakes and demanding real sustainability instead of just the appearance of it.